Look at yourself, not in the mirror, not in the curated image you present to the world, but truly look. Can you feel it? That subtle, persistent hum beneath the surface of your everyday life? That quiet, almost imperceptible ache that whispers, "Is this all there is?" You wake up, you go through the motions, you chase the next goal, the next distraction, the next fleeting moment of happiness. You tell yourself you're free. You have choices, don't you? You can pick your coffee, your clothes, your career path, your partner. You can travel, consume, create. The world, in theory, is your oyster. But deep down, in the quietest corners of your mind, where the masks slip and the pretenses fade, there's a gnawing suspicion, a feeling that you're living a life that isn't entirely your own, a life dictated by invisible forces, by unspoken rules, by a script you didn't write. You feel it, don't you? That subtle pressure to conform, to achieve, to be seen in a certain way. The fear of missing out, the dread of being left behind, the terror of standing alone. It's a fear so pervasive, so deeply ingrained, that we often mistake it for common sense, for ambition, for the very fabric of a well-lived life. But what if I told you that this feeling, this quiet unease, is not a flaw in your character, but a signal, a desperate plea from your authentic self, trapped within a prison you helped build, brick by invisible brick? This isn't about grand conspiracies or external oppressors. This is about something far more insidious, far more personal. This is about the invisible prison of the self, constructed from our fears, our unexamined beliefs, our desperate need for acceptance, and the subtle, relentless currents of a world that profits from our conformity. This is about the chains we forge for ourselves, often with the best of intentions, believing they are the very keys to our freedom. For centuries, philosophers, poets, and prophets have grappled with the nature of freedom. Is it merely the absence of external restraint, or is it something far deeper, an internal state, a radical act of self-possession? We live in an age that champions individual liberty, yet paradoxically, many of us feel more constrained, more anxious, more lost than ever before. We are told we can be anything, do anything, have anything. But this boundless freedom often feels like a burden, a terrifying void that we rush to fill with prepackaged identities and borrowed dreams. Consider the illusion of choice. We are presented with a dazzling array of options. Hundreds of streaming services, thousands of products, countless career paths. But how many of these choices are truly ours? How many are merely variations on a theme, pre-approved pathways designed to keep us within the comfortable confines of the system? We choose between Coke and Pepsi, but rarely question the very act of consuming. We choose between two political parties, but rarely question the underlying structures of power. We choose between different shades of beige, but rarely dare to paint the wall a vibrant, defiant red. This isn't to say that all choices are meaningless, but it is to ask, how many of your free choices are actually echoes of what you've been told to want, what you've seen others desire, what society deems acceptable or successful? The German philosopher Theodor Adorno spoke of pseudo-individualization, where the illusion of difference masks a fundamental sameness. We believe we are expressing our unique selves, but we are often just selecting from a pre-approved menu of identities, each carefully crafted to fit neatly into a consumerist narrative. We are encouraged to be ourselves, but only if ourselves fits into a marketable demographic. This brings us to the first, most insidious chain, the fear of freedom itself. It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? Who wouldn't want to be free? But true freedom, the kind that demands radical self-responsibility and the courage to stand alone, is terrifying. Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, described anxiety as the dizziness of freedom. When faced with infinite possibilities, with the terrifying blank canvas of our own existence, we often recoil. We seek refuge in the familiar, the predictable, the prescribed. Friedrich Nietzsche, with his characteristic thunder, challenged us to become overmen, not in a sense of dominating others, but of overcoming ourselves, our inherited values, our herd instincts. He saw the masses as a herd, content to follow, to conform, to avoid the arduous task of self-creation. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe, he wrote. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Think about it. How often do you censor your true thoughts, your unconventional desires, your radical ideas, for fear of judgment, ridicule, or exclusion? How often do you nod along, smile politely, and keep your true self hidden, just to maintain the peace, to fit in, to avoid the discomfort of being different? This isn't weakness. It's a deeply human response to the primal fear of ostracization. Our ancestors relied on the tribe for survival. To be cast out was a death sentence. And though the stakes are different now, that ancient fear still echoes in our modern psyche, compelling us to seek safety in numbers, even if those numbers lead us down a path we don't truly desire. This fear of freedom manifests as the tyranny of the shoulds. We are bombarded with shoulds from every direction. You should have a stable job. You should get married by a certain age. You should buy a house. You should be happy, successful, thin, popular, well-traveled. These shoulds are not inherently evil. Many are born from good intentions, from societal norms designed to create order. But when they become unquestioned mandates, when they replace our own internal compass, they become chains. They dictate our aspirations, our values, even our very sense of self-worth. We internalize these shoulds so deeply that we often forget they are external constructs. We believe they are our desires, our ambitions. We chase them relentlessly, only to find that even when we achieve them, the promised satisfaction is fleeting, replaced by a new set of shoulds, a new rung on the ladder of endless striving. This is the hamster wheel of modern existence, powered by the illusion that the next achievement, the next acquisition, the next validation will finally bring us peace. But peace, true peace, comes not from fulfilling external demands, but from aligning with our deepest, most authentic self. This brings us to the second invisible chain, the shadow of others. Plato, in his timeless allegory of the cave, painted a vivid picture of human beings chained in a cave, able to see only shadows cast by a fire behind them. They mistake these shadows for reality, believing them to be the sum total of existence. When one prisoner escapes and sees the sun, the true world, he struggles to convince those still chained that their reality is an illusion. In our modern cave, the shadows are cast by social media, by advertising, by the curated narratives of success and happiness that surround us. We spend countless hours gazing at these shadows, comparing our messy, imperfect lives to the polished, filtered highlight reels of others. We see the perfect bodies, the exotic vacations, the thriving businesses, the blissful relationships, and we internalize a distorted sense of what life should be. We begin to perform our lives rather than live them. We become actors in our own stories, constantly aware of the invisible audience, constantly editing, filtering, and presenting a version of ourselves that we believe will be approved. This constant performance is exhausting. It creates a profound disconnect between our inner and outer worlds. We become strangers to ourselves, so focused on the external gaze that we lose touch with our own internal landscape. The psychologist Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear for the world. While a persona is necessary for social interaction, when it becomes our entire identity, when we forget who we are beneath the mask, we become trapped. We become a reflection of others' expectations, a hollow echo of what we think we should be. This self-deception, this living for the approval of others, has a profound cost. It erodes our authenticity, our courage, our very soul. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian who resisted the Nazis, understood the profound danger of conformity. of allowing external pressures to dictate one's moral compass. He spoke of cheap grace, the idea of receiving forgiveness or salvation without any real cost, without any genuine transformation or commitment. In our context, cheap grace is the comfort of conformity, the ease of following the crowd, the avoidance of difficult truths, the willingness to sacrifice our integrity for the sake of acceptance. Bonhoeffer's life was a testament to costly grace, the grace that demands everything, that calls us to stand for truth, even if it means suffering, even if it means standing alone. He saw how easily people could be swept up in a collective delusion, how readily they would surrender their individual conscience to the will of the group, to the seductive power of an ideology. The banality of evil, as Hannah Arendt later described it, is not always about monstrous acts, but about the thoughtlessness, the lack of critical reflection, the willingness to simply follow orders or societal norms without questioning their moral implications. How many times have we, in our own lives, remained silent when we should have spoken? How many times have we gone along with something we knew was wrong just to avoid conflict, to keep the peace, to not rock the boat? This isn't about grand moral